So this week I decided to focus on one issue in particular that I feel like leads into several others, if not taken seriously. And that being specifically aging infrastructure. And I mean that infrastructure can range from anything to streets to sewer to water to septic, things like that, but specifically in the dwellings and the buildings themselves. Now, Frankfurt on European scale is not super old, but compared to any American establishment, is extremely old. There's still some buildings in their old district that are left over from the 13th to 16th century, with the oldest building being a cathedral that was consecrated in 850 AD. So definitely some old stuff there. Now, the entirety of Old Town was wiped out in World War II. It was the site of a battle. Some point in the mid to late 1940s, and they did not start rebuilding again until the 1950s. Now, Frankfurt being as forward-thinking as they have always been, and shown us time and time again that they are, they started their rebuilding very slowly, and I do mean very slowly. Their first batch of rebuilds weren't until the late 50s, with their last set of rebuilds actually completing in 2018. Now, that being said, a majority of those buildings, the energy structure, the grids, the roads, were redone between the 1950s and the 1970s, which for a city that is centuries old is a great improvement, but compared to today's standards in energy delivery and efficiencies is very outdated. Again, forward thinking of them to do these things in batches and to consider the future urban sprawl. But as technology continues to outpace these buildings and tech even from 20 years ago, improvements do need to be made. So to continue to be forward thinking and building sustainably, they have to pay very special attention to refitting and revitalizing the energy grid in a lot of these buildings, because that's where a lot of your energy usage is going to be. They're already inefficient, and a lot of them just don't hold heat and electricity the way the newer buildings do, which means there's going to be a lot of energy loss as well. That being said, again, Frankfurt has been extremely forward-thinking and climate-friendly in a lot of their issues. So they do have plans in place to do this. Now, the reason that is so important, these energy efficiencies being so important, energy costs money. Rebuilding a building costs money. Refitting and updating to newer tech costs money. A lot of people aren't going to do that. These repairs are going to get more and more costly as these buildings and this infrastructure gets older. And generally what happens is as these costs go up, values go down. And you end up seeing these older districts turning into places of substantially lower income. Those values continue to plummet, sometimes to the point of these properties and communities being completely valueless. And something like that would have a massive and dangerous effect on the future of sustainable city planning and expansion in Frankfurt. The last thing that they need is that kind of socioeconomic divide. But given as forward thinking as they have been, I don't think that it will necessarily be an issue, but they're going to have to pay very, very, very close attention to where they're allocating planners and where they're allocating funds and manpower, because every dollar, every hour, every person, every set of boots on ground that they have to devote to replanning and restructuring and revitalizing and rebuilding is one less of those things to go towards the newer portions of the city for the newer designs of the urban sprawl.